Moments before the wedding, she confessed her darkest secret to the groom and left everyone speechless. Jessica held her trembling hands as the priest waited for the right moment to begin the ceremony. Her eyes glistened with tears. She desperately tried to hold back, but they weren't tears of joy. That's when she pulled Brandon into the corner of the sacristy, away from the curious eyes of the guests. "Brandon, I need to tell you something before we get married," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Now, Jessica, the guests are waiting." Brandon adjusted his tie nervously. "It's about Tyler." Brandon's face completely changed. Tyler was his younger brother, the one he always considered his best friend. The same Tyler who stood there dressed as a groomsman, waiting to hand over the rings. "What about Tyler?" Brandon's voice came out deeper than usual. Jessica took a deep breath. The words that had been stuck in her throat for years finally had to come out. "5 years ago, when you traveled for work in Chicago, Tyler and we were together. It wasn't just once, Brandon, it lasted 3 months. The silence that fell over the small sacristy was deafening. Brandon let go of her hands as if burned. "You're joking, right?" He shook his head in disbelief. "I got pregnant by him." The words hit like a gunshot. Brandon staggered back, leaning against the wall. His breathing grew heavy, as if the air had become too thick for his lungs. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. "Pregnant?" Brandon's voice was unrecognizable. "And where's the child?" "I lost the baby in the 4th month." Jessica was crying now, unable to hold back. "But it wasn't natural, Brandon. I made the decision to end the pregnancy because I didn't know how to tell either of you." Brandon slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor. His hands shook violently. "Why are you telling me this now? On our wedding day?" "Because last night, Tyler came to me. He said he can't pretend anymore that nothing happened. He said he still loves me and that if I marry you today, he'll reveal everything in front of everyone." The sacristy door creaked open slowly. It was Mrs. Deborah, the mother of the 2 brothers, her face filled with concern. "My boys, what's going on? The guests are getting restless and the priest is asking if you need a few more minutes." Brandon looked at his mother with an expression she had never seen before, a mix of anger, sorrow, and betrayal. "Mom, how long have you known Jessica?" "Well, Brandon, you've been dating for 7 years. I've known Jessica since you two started dating. Why the strange question? And do you remember when I went to Chicago 5 years ago?" Mrs. Deborah paused, as if trying to recall something specific. "Of course I remember. You were there for 6 months working on that company project. You called every day because you missed Jessica so much. And how was Tyler during that time?" The question made Mrs. Deborah glance suspiciously between her son and soon-to-be daughter-in-law. "Tyler? He was very different, quieter, more distant. I thought it was because you weren't here, and you two were always so close." "Mom," Brandon's voice was low, controlled. "Jessica just told me that during that time she and Tyler had an affair." Mrs. Deborah's face instantly paled. She leaned against the small table in the corner of the sacristy. "That can't be true. And she got pregnant by him." Mrs. Deborah sank heavily into the nearest chair. Her hands flew to her chest as if her heart might leap out. "Oh my God! And the baby?" "There is no baby anymore, Mrs. Deborah," Jessica answered between sobs. "I got rid of it because I didn't know what to do." At that moment, the door opened again. It was Tyler, in his impeccable best man suit and a smile that died the instant he saw the scene in the sacristy. "What's going on here?" "Ask her." Brandon pointed at Jessica without even looking at his brother. Tyler looked at Jessica, her face red from crying, then at his mother, who was visibly shaken, and finally at Brandon. "Jessica, you told him?" The confirmation in Tyler's voice was like a second stab to Brandon's chest. He got up from the floor with an energy no one expected. "So it's true? You slept with my fiancée while I was away?" "Brandon, let me explain." "Explain what, Tyler?" "That you betrayed your own brother. That the two of you made a fool out of me for 5 years. Brandon's voice grew louder. Outside, the murmurs of the guests could be heard as they started to realize something was wrong. It wasn't like that. Tyler tried to step closer, but Brandon backed away. Wasn't like what? You didn't sleep with her? She didn't get pregnant by you? I did, but nothing, Brandon shouted. You two ruined everything. Mrs. Deborah stood up from the chair, still trembling. Tyler, how could you do this to your brother? Mom, I fell in love with her. It wasn't planned. Fell in love? Brandon laughed, but it was a bitter, humorless laugh. You fell in love with your brother's girlfriend? I've always liked Jessica, from the first day you brought her home. But I would never have done anything while you two were together. But you did it when I was away. She was suffering, Brandon. You two fought all the time over the phone. She cried at our house almost every day. At first, I just tried to comfort her. Jessica, who had stayed silent during the brothers' argument, finally spoke. Tyler, stop. It wasn't like that, and you know it. Tyler looked at her, surprised. How wasn't it like that? You came to me, remember? I was trying to cope with the distance from Brandon, and you showed up at my house saying you'd always loved me. Jessica, you're twisting the story. I'm not twisting anything. You said Brandon didn't deserve me, that he'd replace me when he came back from Chicago. Brandon watched them argue as if he were witnessing a horror movie. So you two planned this? It wasn't planned. Jessica shook her head violently. Tyler showed up at my place one night when I was really upset because you had fought with me over the phone. He brought wine, said he wanted to comfort me. And you let him? I was vulnerable, Brandon. You were far away. We fought all the time. I felt abandoned. That doesn't justify you cheating. I know it doesn't. That's why I'm telling you now, because I can't marry you knowing this secret is between us. Mrs. Deborah, who had listened to the whole argument, finally spoke. And why didn't you ever say anything? Why did you let Brandon come back thinking everything was fine? Tyler lowered his head. When Brandon came back, Jessica said it was a mistake and that she wanted to stay with him. I accepted it because I thought it was best for everyone. Best for everyone? Brandon couldn't believe what he was hearing. You thought it was better to deceive me for 5 years. We thought what happened while you were away would stay in the past, Jessica tried to explain. And the pregnancy? When did you find out? 2 weeks after you came back. And you didn't think to tell me. I thought about it, but you chose to get rid of the baby and say nothing. Jessica nodded, ashamed. It was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life, Brandon. I knew that if I told, it would destroy the two of you. And it did, only 5 years later, on our wedding day. The priest appeared at the sacristy door, visibly concerned. Forgive the intrusion, but the guests are asking if the ceremony will happen. It's already over 40 minutes late. Brandon looked at the priest, then at Jessica, then at Tyler, and finally at his mother. Father, I think the ceremony will have to be cancelled. Brandon, don't do this. Jessica stepped closer to him. We can talk. We can fix this. Fix it? How, Jessica? How do we fix 5 years of lies? By trying to forgive each other. And Tyler? My brother who slept with you? Am I supposed to forgive him too? Tyler took a step forward. Brandon, I'm so sorry. I know there's no excuse for what I did. There isn't. But I love you like a brother. And if you ever want to forgive me, I'll be here. You love me like a brother? Brandon laughed bitterly again. Brothers don't do this, Tyler. Mrs. Deborah approached her sons. You're both my children. I can't lose you over this. You won't lose anyone, Mum. But things will have to change. The priest cleared his throat gently. Perhaps it's best if I speak to the guests. What would you like me to say? Brandon ran a hand through his hair, thinking. Tell them there was an unexpected family matter and the ceremony is being postponed. Postponed or cancelled? The priest asked. Brandon looked at Jessica. I don't know. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now continuing. After the priest left to speak with the guests, the sacristy fell silent. Everyone was lost in their own thoughts, trying to process the situation. Jessica was the one who broke the silence. "Brandon, I know you have no reason to forgive me, but I need you to know I truly love you. If you truly loved me, you'd never have done this. People make mistakes, Brandon, even people who love each other. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk at the store, Jessica. A mistake is being late for work. Cheating isn't a mistake, it's a choice." Tyler tried again to approach his brother. "Brandon, you have every right to be angry, but Jessica is telling the truth about loving you. And how do you know? Because she chose to stay with you when you came back from Chicago, after sleeping with you for 3 months and losing your child." The word child echoed through the sacristy as if it had a life of its own. It was the first time Brandon had spoken that word about what had happened. Mrs. Deborah began to cry softly. "I lost a grandchild and didn't even know." "Mom, it wasn't your grandchild," Tyler tried to comfort her. "Yes, it was, Tyler. It was my son's child. But it was a baby that never came to be. That doesn't matter. It was a life." Jessica looked at Mrs. Deborah with tears in her eyes. "Mrs. Deborah, I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. Are you sorry I found out or sorry you did it?" The question caught Jessica off guard. "I'm sorry for everything. For the mistakes I made. For the lies. For hurting all of you. But are you sorry for being with Tyler?" Jessica took a moment to answer. It was a hard question because it involved feelings she'd kept hidden for 5 years. "I can't say I'm sorry for being with Tyler because at the time, I was in love with him." The shock on Brandon's face was clear. "You were in love with him?" "Yes. For 3 months I thought I'd found real love." "Then why did you come back to me?" "Because when you came back from Chicago, I realized what I felt for you was stronger than what I felt for Tyler." Tyler, who had been listening to everything, seemed to be reliving those moments. "Jessica, you never told me that." "Because there was no point in hurting you to justify my choice. So you lied to me too." "I didn't lie to you, Tyler. I said I wanted to be with Brandon and you accepted it. But you didn't say you didn't love me anymore." "Because I still loved you. I just loved Brandon more." Brandon heard that and felt as if the ground were shaking beneath his feet. "You still love my brother?" "I don't know, Brandon. I spent 5 years trying to forget what happened between us, trying to build a life with you." "But you still think about him?" Jessica hesitated. "Sometimes." "My God." Brandon sat down again, this time in the chair where his mother had been. Outside, the voices of the guests could be heard as they left the church. The priest had managed to disperse most of the crowd, but some close family members were still waiting outside. Mrs. Deborah looked through the small sacristy window. "Aunt Margaret is out there, and Cousin Robert too. They came all the way from Denver just for the wedding." "I'll have to explain this to everyone." Brandon ran his hands over his face. "You don't owe anyone an explanation," Jessica said. "We can just say you weren't feeling well, that the wedding was postponed for health reasons. And then what? Are we going to lie forever?" "I don't know, Brandon. I just know I don't want our family to become gossip for everyone." "Our family?" Tyler looked at her. "Are we still a family?" "I don't know what we are," Brandon answered for her. Just then, someone knocked on the sacristy door. It was Ashley, Jessica's younger sister and the wedding's maid of honor. "Jessica, everyone's asking what happened. What should I say?" Jessica opened the door just a crack. "Tell them Brandon wasn't feeling well and we had to postpone." "Is he okay?" "He's fine, we just need some time." "Do you want me to stay?" "No, Ashley. Go home. I'll call you later." Ashley hesitated. "Are you sure? You look like you've been crying." "I'm fine. Please just go." After Ashley left, Jessica closed the door again. "We need to decide what we're going to do," she said. "I need time to think," Brandon replied. "How much time?" "I don't know. Maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months." "And are we just going to keep living together while you think?" The question caught Brandon off guard. He and Jessica had lived together for 3 years in the apartment they'd bought to start their married life. "I don't know if I can look at you every day knowing all this." "So you want me to move out?" "I don't know what I want, Jessica. I found out half an hour ago that my fiancée had a 3-month affair with my brother, got pregnant by him, and never told me. I can't think straight right now." Tyler, who had stayed quiet during this conversation, finally spoke. "Jessica, you can stay at my place until you two figure things out." "At your place?" Brandon looked at his brother as if he'd lost his mind. "It's just until she finds somewhere or until you two talk. You think I'm going to let my fiancée stay at the house of the guy who slept with her?" "Brandon, don't talk like that," Mrs. Deborah scolded her son. "How else am I supposed to talk, Mom? They slept together. She got pregnant by him. What do you want me to say? With more respect?" "Respect?" Brandon let out that bitter laugh again. "Where's the respect they had for me?" The argument was interrupted by another knock at the door. This time it was Uncle Robert, Brandon and Tyler's uncle. "Boys, can you open the door? The whole family is worried." Mrs. Deborah opened the door. "Hi, Robert." "Deborah, what's going on?" "The priest said there was a family emergency." "It's complicated, Robert. Is someone sick?" "No, no one's sick." Uncle Robert looked into the sacristy and saw the two brothers and Jessica, all with serious expressions. "Did you two fight?" "Something like that," Brandon replied. "On the wedding day?" "But that's normal, son. Every couple fights before getting married. It's just nerves." "It wasn't a fight, Uncle Robert." "Then what was it?" Brandon looked at Jessica, then at Tyler, then at his mother. Jessica found out something about her past that changed everything. "What thing?" "It's very personal, Uncle. We'd rather not talk about it now." Uncle Robert seemed to understand it wasn't the time for more questions. "All right, but you know if you need anything you can count on me, right?" "We know, Uncle." "Thank you." After Uncle Robert left, they were alone again. "We can't stay here forever," Jessica said. "I know. What do you want to do?" Brandon thought for a few minutes. "I'm going to my mom's house today. You can stay at the apartment until you figure out what you want to do with your life. And then? Then we'll see." "Do you think there's a chance for us to try again?" "Jessica, you just told me you still think about my brother sometimes. How do you think that makes me feel?" "But I also told you I love you more. 5 years ago you loved me more, and now, after 5 years living a lie with me?" Jessica couldn't answer. "That's it." Brandon stood up. "You're not sure about anything. I'm sure I love you, but you're not sure you don't love him." "Brandon, forget it, Jessica. I need to get out of here." Brandon headed for the door but stopped and looked at Tyler. "And you, bro. Stay out of my sight for a while, okay? Brandon, we're brothers." "We were brothers, now I don't even know what we are." Brandon left the sacristy, leaving the three of them alone. Mrs. Deborah started crying harder. "My boys. What happened to my family?" Tyler went to his mother and hugged her. "Mom, it'll be okay." "How will it be okay, Tyler? You destroyed your brother's trust." "I know, Mom. But one day he'll forgive me." "And if he doesn't?" Tyler had no answer for that. Jessica, who had been watching the conversation between mother and son, spoke up. "Mrs. Deborah, I'm so sorry for causing this situation in your family." "Are you really sorry, Jessica?" "I am, truly." "Then why didn't you ever say anything before?" "Because I was afraid of losing Brandon." "And now you've lost him anyway." Mrs. Deborah's words hit Jessica like a bomb. It was true. She'd kept that secret for 5 years to avoid losing Brandon, and now she'd lost him all the same. "I know I messed up, Mrs. Deborah." "You did, my dear. And Tyler messed up too. And now Brandon is suffering because of both your mistakes." Tyler let go of his mother and turned to Jessica. "Jessica, we need to talk." "What do we need to talk about?" "About what we do now." "There's nothing to do, Tyler. We each go our separate ways and that's it. And if Brandon doesn't forgive you, then I'll have to learn to live without him." "Can you?" Jessica took a moment to answer. "I'll have to." "Jessica, I still love you." Tyler's confession left both Jessica and Mrs. Deborah stunned. "Tyler, don't say that," Mrs. Deborah scolded her son. "Why not, Mom? It's the truth. I never stopped loving Jessica." "Your brother just walked out of here heartbroken, and you're confessing your love for his fiancée." "Ex-fiancée, Mom. They didn't get married." "Because you didn't let them." I didn't do anything today. Jessica was the one who told him everything. Mrs. Deborah looked at Jessica. Why did you tell him today, dear? Why wait until the wedding day? Because last night, Tyler came to see me. And what did he say? Jessica looked at Tyler, as if asking permission to tell. He said if I married Brandon today, he'd tell everyone everything during the ceremony. Tyler, Mrs. Deborah looked at her son, horrified. Mom, I couldn't let them get married based on a lie. So you blackmailed Jessica? I wouldn't call it blackmail. I'd call it having the courage to tell the truth. Courage 5 years later? Better 5 years later than never. Mrs. Deborah shook her head, disappointed. You've ruined Brandon's life. Brandon will be fine, Mum. How can you be so sure? Because he's strong, and because one day he'll understand we did the right thing. The right thing? Jessica stared at Tyler, surprised. You think destroying our marriage was the right thing? I think marrying based on a lie would have been worse. For who? For you? For everyone, including you. How can you decide what's best for me? Because I know you, Jessica, and I know you'd never be truly happy with Brandon knowing you hid this from him. And now? You think I'll be happy having lost him? Maybe you'll find a different kind of happiness. With you? The direct question left Tyler speechless for a few seconds. If you want. Tyler, are you crazy? I just destroyed my relationship with your brother. You think I'd start one with you? Why not? Because I love Brandon. But you love me too. No, Tyler. I loved you. Past tense. Are you sure about that? Jessica paused to think. Was she sure? Had those feelings she'd held onto for 5 years really disappeared? I don't know. Then you're not sure you don't love me anymore. Tyler, stop it. Stop what? The truth? Mrs. Deborah, who had been watching the conversation, decided to step in. You're both being very selfish. What do you mean, Mom? You're here arguing about feelings while Brandon is hurting. Don't you think about him? Mom, of course I think about Brandon. Then why are you trying to convince Jessica to be with you instead of fixing things with your brother? Tyler fell silent. His mother was right. Mrs. Deborah, what do you think I should do? Jessica asked. I think you should fight for Brandon if he's the one you truly love. What if he doesn't forgive me? Then at least you'll know you tried. What if he forgives me but never trusts me again? Trust can be rebuilt, my dear, with time and dedication. Do you think he loves me enough to try? I know my son loves you very much, otherwise he wouldn't have stayed with you for 5 years. But now he knows everything. And does that change his love for you? Jessica considered the question. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe he loves you enough to work through this. What about Tyler? Mrs. Deborah looked at her son. Tyler will have to learn to accept whatever decision you two make. What if they decide to stay together? Tyler asked. Then you'll have to root for your brother's happiness. What if they decide to separate? Then you'll have to root for both of their happiness, even if it's not together. What if Jessica wants to be with me? Mrs. Deborah sighed deeply. Tyler, first she needs to sort things out with Brandon. Then she can decide what she wants for her life. Jessica nodded. Mrs. Deborah is right. I need to talk to Brandon first. And when will you talk to him? I don't know. He said he needed time. How much time? He didn't say. Tyler moved closer to Jessica. Jessica, can I ask you something? Go ahead. If Brandon decides he doesn't want anything to do with you, would you give me a chance? Jessica looked at him for a long moment. Tyler, I can't think about that right now. Why? Because all of this is very recent. 2 hours ago, I was ready to marry your brother. Now you all want me to decide my romantic future. You're right. I'm sorry. I need to go home and think. Do you want me to take you? No, Tyler. I need to be alone. How will you leave? You came with Brandon. I'll call a taxi. At least let me drive you. Tyler, I said I want to be alone. That includes not being in the car with you. Okay. Jessica walked toward the sacristy door but stopped and looked at Mrs. Deborah. Mrs. Deborah, could you do me a favor? Of course, dear. Could you tell Brandon that I'll wait for him to decide when he wants to talk? I won't pressure him, I won't seek him out, I'll just wait. I'll tell him, and that I love him, despite everything. I'll tell him that too. Jessica left the sacristy, leaving mother and son alone. Mrs. Deborah looked at Tyler with a serious expression. Tyler, what you did was very serious. I know, Mom. You may have lost your brother forever. I hope not. And do you think it's worth it? Losing your brother over a woman? Mom, it's not just over a woman, it's for love. Do you love Jessica more than you love your brother? The question left Tyler silent for several minutes. I don't know, Mom. Then maybe you should figure that out before making more mistakes. How do I do that? Think about what you've lost today and what you could still lose, and decide if it's worth it. And if it is worth it, then you fight for her, but without hurting anyone else. And if it's not worth it, then you apologize to your brother and try to rebuild your relationship. Tyler nodded. Mom, can I stay at your place tonight? Of course you can. The house is yours too. Thank you. And Tyler? Yes? Tomorrow, you go after your brother and talk to him. What if he doesn't want to listen? You keep insisting until he does. Tyler nodded. It was the least he could do. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. 2 days passed without Brandon contacting anyone. He had left the church and gone straight to a hotel, not even stopping by his house to pick up his things. Jessica stayed in the apartment, but could do nothing but cry and stare at photos of their relationship. On the morning of the 3rd day, Tyler decided to look for his brother. He knew Brandon wouldn't answer his calls, so he went to the company where he worked. When he arrived at the office building in downtown Chicago, Tyler went up to the 12th floor, where the consulting firm Brandon co-owned was located. Hi, Amanda, he greeted the secretary. Hi, Tyler. Brandon's in an important meeting. Can you wait? I can. It's urgent. Did something happen? He's been acting very strange since Monday. Tyler didn't know how to respond. It wasn't his place to explain what had happened. It's a family matter. Oh, I see. Did the wedding not go well? The wedding was cancelled. Cancelled? Amanda was surprised. Why? It's complicated. Amanda realized Tyler didn't want to talk about it and didn't press further. His meeting should end in about 20 minutes. Would you like some coffee? Yes, thank you. Tyler waited in the lobby, mentally rehearsing what he would say to his brother. He knew it wouldn't be easy. 25 minutes later, Brandon came out of the meeting room with 2 clients. When he saw Tyler sitting in the waiting area, his expression darkened. Amanda, cancel my next appointments, Brandon said after saying goodbye to the clients. For how long? I don't know. I'll let you know later. Brandon motioned for Tyler to follow him into his office. Once the door closed, an uncomfortable silence filled the room. What are you doing here, Tyler? Talk. We have nothing to talk about. Yes, we do. We're brothers. Were. Now I'm not so sure anymore. Tyler sat in one of the chairs across from Brandon's desk. Brandon, I know you're mad at me. Mad? Brandon laughed that bitter laugh that had become common lately. I'm not mad, Tyler. Mad is when someone steals your parking spot. What I feel for you doesn't even have a name. How do you feel? Betrayed, deceived, humiliated. I understand. You understand? How could you possibly understand? Have you ever had a brother who slept with your girlfriend? No, but then you don't understand a thing. Tyler took a deep breath. This wasn't going to be easy. Brandon, I came here to apologize. Your apology won't change what happened. I know, but I need to say it. Then say it. I'm so sorry for getting involved with Jessica when you weren't here. It was the worst thing I've ever done. Go on. I know there's no excuse. I know I betrayed your trust, and I know you might never forgive me. Probably not. But I want you to know I never meant to hurt you. Really? Then what did you mean to do? I wanted to be with the woman I loved. The woman who was your brother's girlfriend. Yeah, and that's why it was so wrong. Brandon leaned back in his chair, staring at Tyler like he was looking at a stranger. Tyler, do you even grasp the situation you two put me in? I do. I spent 5 years of my life building a relationship with a woman who had slept with my brother. 5 years planning a wedding, making future plans, talking about having kids. I know. And the worst part is, you both made a fool out of me. The whole family must have suspected something. No, Brandon, no one knew. Really? You don't think Mom noticed something was off between you two? Tyler thought about it. Had Mrs. Deborah noticed and never said anything? I don't know. We never talked to her about it. And now she knows everything. She does. How's she handling it? Badly. She's really shaken. Another person you hurt. Brandon, I know we messed up, and I know the consequences will be hard for everyone. You know? Then explain something to me. Why did you tell me now? Why on my wedding day? Tyler hesitated. He wasn't sure if he should admit he'd pressured Jessica. Jessica thought she couldn't marry you without you knowing the truth. And you? What did you think? I thought you shouldn't get married. Why? Because I still love Jessica. Tyler's confession hit the room like a bomb. Brandon stared at his brother for a long moment. You still love her? I do. After 5 years? I never stopped. Then why didn't you ever say anything? Because she chose to stay with you. But now that we're not together, you're going to try to win her back? Tyler took his time answering. If she wants me, yes. Brandon stood up and walked to the office window overlooking the city. Tyler, did you come here to apologize or to tell me you're going after my ex-fiancée? I came to apologize, but also to be honest with you about my feelings. How considerate. Brandon, I don't want to lie to you anymore. I've lied enough. Oh, really? What other lies have you told? No big ones, but every time you talked about Jessica, I pretended I didn't care. Every time you fought, I pretended I wasn't happy. Every time you made up, I pretended I was glad for you. You're a great brother. I know I'm not, but I want to try to be again. How? By being honest from now on, no matter how much the truth hurts. Brandon turned to face Tyler. Fine. Then tell me something honestly. Do you regret what you did with Jessica? I regret hiding it from you, but I don't regret being with her. Why? Because they were the 3 happiest months of my life. Tyler's honesty hurt Brandon more than he expected. And do you think she was happy too? I think so. At least she seemed happy. Until I came back. Until you came back. And then she chose to stay with me. She did. But you never accepted that choice. I tried to. For 5 years I tried. And you couldn't? I couldn't. Brandon went back to his chair and stared at Tyler for a few minutes. Tyler, do you want an honest answer from me? I do. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive you. I figured. And I don't know if we'll ever be brothers again. I understand. But I want to try. Tyler looked at Brandon, surprised. What do you mean? I want to try to forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because you're my brother and I don't want to lose our family over this. Really? Really? But there will be conditions. What conditions? First condition, you won't try anything with Jessica while I'm deciding whether to give her a second chance. And if you decide not to, then you do whatever you want. And if I decide to give her a second chance, then you forget about Jessica forever. Tyler thought about the conditions. Okay, I accept. Second condition, we're going to family therapy. Therapy? Yeah. You, me, and Mum, so we can try to fix this the right way. What about Jessica? Jessica isn't part of the family yet. If she ever is, then she'll join too. Okay. Third condition, you'll tell me everything that happened between you two. Every little detail. I don't want any more surprises in the future. Everything? Everything. Tyler swallowed hard. It wouldn't be easy to tell his brother everything. Okay, I accept the conditions. Great. Then let's start now. 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 Tell me everything. Tyler took a deep breath and began. It started on a Thursday night, 2 weeks after you left for Chicago. Jessica had fought with you on the phone because you said the trip might last a few more months. I remember that fight. She was crying at the front door when I got home from work. I asked what happened and she told me about the fight. And then? I invited her in to talk, made some coffee, and we talked in the living room. About what? About you, about your relationship, about how lonely she was feeling. And then? Then she cried more and I tried to comfort her. How? I hugged her. And then? Then she kissed me. Brandon felt his stomach twist, but he knew he had to hear it all. And you kissed her back? I did. Right away. No. I hesitated for a few seconds, but then I kissed her back. And after the kiss, we stopped and she apologized, said she didn't know why she'd done it. I told her it was okay, that it was normal for her to be confused with you gone. And she left? She did, but she came back the next day. Why? To talk about what had happened. And did you talk? We did, and it happened again. The kiss, and a few other things. What things? Tyler hesitated, looking at his brother. Brandon, are you sure you want to know everything? I am. Tell me. We kissed again, and this time she didn't stop. We stayed in your living room for over 2 hours. Doing what? Kissing, touching each other. Did you sleep together that day? No, not that day. When was the first time? A week later. Where? At your place. The answer felt like a punch to Brandon's gut. They'd slept together in the house he shared with Jessica. In our bed? No. On the living room couch. Like that makes a difference. I know it doesn't. Sorry. Go on. After the first time, we started seeing each other almost every day. Every day? Almost every day. She'd come over in the afternoon when I got home from work. And what would you do? Talk, cook together, watch movies, and have sex. How often did you have sex? Brandon, how often? Every day we saw each other. How many times a day? Does that matter? It matters to me. Usually 2 or 3 times. Brandon closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The images in his head were almost unbearable. And did you fall in love during that time? I fell for her in the first week. She took a little longer. How long? About 3 weeks. And how did you know she was in love? Because she told me. When? One night when we were lying on the couch after having sex, she looked at me and said she was in love. And you? I told her I was in love with her too. Did you make plans for the future? We did. What kind of plans? We talked about you breaking up with her when you got back from Chicago, and about us going public with our relationship. You wanted me to break up with her. We thought it would be better. For you. For everyone. We thought you'd realize you didn't love her when you got back. But I didn't. No, when you came back it was clear you still loved her. And then? Then Jessica got confused. She didn't know what to do. And you? I told her to choose, said if she picked you, I'd accept it, and never bother you to. But you didn't accept it. I tried. And the pregnancy? When did you find out? 2 weeks after you got back. Jessica was late and took the test. How did you feel? I was happy. She was terrified. Why? Because she'd already decided to stay with you, and having my baby would complicate everything. Did you try to convince her to keep it? I did. I said we could tell you everything and be together. And her? She said she couldn't do that to you, that you didn't deserve to find out that way. So she decided to get rid of the baby. She did. And you agreed? No. We fought a lot about it. But in the end, you accepted it. In the end, I understood it was her decision. Did you go with her? I did. How was it? Tyler stayed silent for a few minutes. It was horrible, Brandon. The worst experience of my life. Why? Because I wanted that baby, and because I knew I was losing the woman I loved. Did she break up with you that day? She did. Said she couldn't keep seeing me because she felt too guilty. And you accepted it. I had no choice. And after, you two got back together, and I just watched. For 5 years. For 5 years. Brandon stayed silent for a long time, processing everything he'd heard. Tyler, can I ask you one more thing? Go ahead. Do you regret anything you just told me? I regret not telling you sooner. Just that? And I regret letting Jessica go through the abortion alone. What do you mean alone? You said you went with her. I did, but when we got there, I couldn't go in. I waited in the car. And she went in alone? She did. Tyler, you let the woman you loved face that alone. I did, and I regret it every day. Brandon looked at his brother with a different expression. For the first time since the wedding day, he felt something close to pity for Tyler. Tyler, you're an idiot. I know. No, you don't get it. You're an idiot because you lost the woman you loved out of cowardice. What do you mean? If you'd gone in with her that day, maybe she wouldn't have made the choice she did. Maybe she'd have realized you really loved her. But she'd already decided before we even got there. Decisions can change, Tyler, especially when the person you love is by your side during the hardest times. Tyler kept thinking about what Brandon had said. Do you think if I had gone in with her, she would have stayed with me? I don't know, but I think she would have realized you truly loved her. And now? What do you think I should do? Now? Now you're going to respect the agreement we made. What if you decide to give her a second chance? Then you'll have to live with the fact that you lost your chance 5 years ago. Tyler nodded. Brandon was right. Brandon, can I ask you something now? Go ahead. Do you still love Jessica? I do. Even after everything you found out? Even after everything. Then why don't you get back together with her? Because love isn't just a feeling, Tyler. It's trust too. And you both destroyed my trust. Do you think you can rebuild that trust? I don't know. That's what I need to figure out. How long do you think it'll take? I don't know that either. What if you realize you can't trust her again? Then I'll have to learn to live without her. Can you do that? Brandon took a while to answer. I'll have to. The two brothers sat in silence for a few minutes, each lost in their own thoughts. It was Brandon who broke the silence. Tyler, thank you for being honest with me today. Thank you for listening. We still have a lot to talk about, but for today, that's enough. Okay. And Tyler? Yeah? I want you to know that, despite everything, I still love you as my brother. I love you too, Brandon. It'll take time for us to go back to how we were before. I know. But we'll try. We will. Tyler got up from the chair and headed toward the office door. Brandon? Yeah? Are you going to talk to Jessica? I am, but I don't know when. Okay. After Tyler left, Brandon stayed alone in his office, thinking about everything he'd heard. It was a lot to process. He knew he had a tough decision ahead. Try to rebuild his relationship with Jessica or move on alone. That night, Brandon called his mother. Hello, Mom? Hi, sweetheart. How are you? Okay, I talked to Tyler today. That's good. How did it go? Hard, but necessary. Did he tell you everything? He did. And how do you feel? Confused, hurt, but relieved to know the truth. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. But I want to talk to Jessica. When? Tomorrow. Do you want me to come with you? No, Mom. It's a conversation I need to have with her alone. Okay. But if you need anything, you call me. I will. Mom? Yes? Thank you for everything. What for? For raising me to be a man who tries to do the right thing. You've always been a good boy, Brandon. I love you, Mom. I love you too, sweetheart. The next day, Brandon woke up with a decision made. He was going to talk to Jessica and try to figure out if there was still anything left to save between them. At 2 in the afternoon, He arrived at the apartment they used to share. He used his key to get in, but called out from the hallway to let her know he was there. "Jessica, it's me." Jessica appeared in the living room. She was in pajamas, her hair messy, her eyes red from crying. "Brandon, what are you doing here?" "I came to talk to you." "About what?" "About us." Jessica sat on the couch, the same couch where she and Tyler had slept together 5 years ago. "I don't know if I'm ready to talk." "I don't know if I'm ready either. But we need to." Brandon sat in the armchair across from the couch. "Jessica, Tyler told me everything yesterday." "Everything?" "Everything, down to the smallest details." "How do you feel knowing all of it?" "Even more hurt than I was before." "Then why did you come here?" "Because I need to understand some things." "What things?" "I need to understand if you truly love me or if you're with me because you had no other choice." "What do you mean, no other choice?" "Tyler told me you two planned to be together when I got back from Chicago. He said you both expected me to break up with you." "It's true. So when I didn't break up with you, you stayed with me because you had no other option." Jessica thought about the question for a few minutes. "At first, yes. When you came back from Chicago, I was confused. I loved both of you and didn't know what to do." "And now? Are you still confused?" "Now I know I love you more than I ever loved Tyler." "How can you be sure of that?" "Because when Tyler came to me 2 days before our wedding, I was angry at him for trying to ruin our happiness." "But do you still feel anything for him?" "I care about him. After all, we had a relationship, but it's not love." "And you're sure about that?" "I am." Brandon stared at her for a few minutes. "Jessica, I want to believe you, but I don't know if I can." "Why?" "Because you both lied to me for 5 years. How can I be sure you're not lying now?" "Because now there's no reason to lie." "Ooh, the worst has already happened. I've already lost you." "You haven't lost me yet." "No? No, I'm still here. But will you stay?" "I don't know. It depends on you convincing me it's worth trying again." "How can I convince you?" "By being completely honest with me about everything." "What do you want to know?" "About the feelings you had for Tyler, about the pregnancy, about why you chose to stay with me." Jessica took a deep breath. She knew this conversation would be hard but necessary. "When you left for Chicago, I felt abandoned. We fought all the time over the phone. You said you might stay longer than planned, and I thought you were losing interest in me. And then Tyler showed up to comfort you." "He did, and he was very affectionate toward me. He made me feel special, wanted." "And you fell in love with him?" "I did. For 3 months I thought I'd found the love of my life." "And the pregnancy? How did you feel when you found out?" "I panicked. I knew if you found out about the baby, you'd find out about Tyler. And you didn't want me to find out." "No, because by then you'd already come back, and I'd realized what I felt for you was stronger." "How did you realize that?" "When you came back from Chicago and hugged me at the airport, I felt something I'd never felt with Tyler." "What?" "Security, peace, the feeling of being home." "And with Tyler you didn't feel that?" "With Tyler I felt passion, desire, but I didn't feel peace." "And that's why you chose to stay with me?" "That's why, and because I realized you loved me in a way Tyler never could." "What do you mean?" "You loved me for who I was. Tyler loved me for who he wanted me to be." "And the decision to end the pregnancy, how was that made?" "It was the hardest decision of my life, Brandon. I knew if I had that baby, I'd have to tell you everything, and I didn't want to lose you. So you chose to keep me in the dark. I chose to try to build a life with you based on what we truly had between us, which was a lie, which was love. What we had was real love, Brandon. The fact that I got involved with Tyler didn't change that, but it changed the trust. I know it did, and I know it was selfish of me not to tell you. Why didn't you ever tell me? In 5 years, did you never think about telling me?" "I thought about it many times, especially when we started talking about marriage." "And why didn't you?" "Because I was afraid of losing you, and because I thought what had happened didn't matter anymore." "Didn't matter?" "I thought what mattered was the present, what we were building together. But the past is part of who we are, Jessica. I know that now. Brandon got up from the armchair and walked to the living room window. Jessica, I need to ask you a difficult question. Go ahead. If Tyler hadn't pressured you to tell me everything, would you have married me without ever saying a word? Jessica took a long time to answer. I don't know, Brandon. Honestly, I don't know. At least you're being honest. I promised I'd be completely honest with you. And do you intend to keep that promise? I do. Even if honesty could hurt our relationship? Even then. Brandon turned to look at her. All right. Then tell me one thing. Do you wish you'd kept that baby? The question caught Jessica off guard. Why do you want to know that? Because I want to understand all your feelings about what happened. I sometimes wonder what it would have been like if I'd had the baby. And how do you think it would have been? Complicated. Very complicated. But would you have wanted it? A part of me would have, yes. Why? Because despite everything, that baby was made out of love. Maybe it was the wrong love. Love that shouldn't have existed, but it was love. And do you miss it? I do. Not a day goes by that I don't think about that baby. And do you regret your decision? I regret the situation that led me to that decision. But I don't regret the decision itself. Why? Because if I'd had that baby, I never would have been able to stay with you, and staying with you was the best thing that ever happened to me. Brandon went back to the armchair and sat down again. Jessica, I need to tell you something. What? Yesterday, when Tyler told me about the pregnancy, I felt something very strange. What was it? I felt jealous. Jealous of what? Jealous that you two created a life together, even if that life never came to be. Brandon, let me finish. I was jealous because you shared an experience with him that you never had with me. What experience? The experience of being pregnant with someone you loved. But I love you. I know you love me, but you've never been pregnant with my child. And that bothers you? It does, because it makes me think maybe you two had something we never did. We didn't have anything you and I don't have, Brandon. Yes, you did. You had a relationship without outside problems. No worries about family, about the future. You lived a carefree love. That lasted 3 months. But it was intense. It was intense, but it wasn't real. How wasn't it real? Because it was based on a temporary situation. You were away, I was vulnerable, Tyler was available. When things changed, the relationship didn't survive. And what about our relationship? Do you think it could survive any change? I used to think so, before all this happened. And now? Now I don't know. It depends on you. Why does it depend on me? Because I've already decided I want to stay with you. Now you need to decide if you want to stay with me. Brandon was silent for a few minutes. Jessica, if we try again, things will have to be different. How different? We'll have to rebuild everything from scratch. The trust, the intimacy, the plans for the future. I'm willing to do that. And you'll have to be completely transparent with me about everything. Where you go, who you talk to, what you feel. For how long? Until I can trust you again. And if you never can, then we'll have to accept it didn't work out. Jessica thought about the conditions Brandon had set. All right, I accept. There's one more thing. What? You'll have to accept that things between you and Tyler will have to change. I already don't talk to him anymore. It's not just that. You'll have to accept he won't be part of our life as a couple anymore. What do you mean? Family gatherings, reunions, trips. It'll have to be either you and me or me and him. The 3 of us together won't work. And he's okay with that? He'll have to be. What if he isn't? Then he'll have to choose between keeping his brother or trying to keep you. Jessica nodded. She understood Brandon needed those reassurances to feel secure. Okay, I accept all the conditions. Are you sure? I am. Brandon, I really want to try again with you. Why? Why do you want to stay with me so badly? Because you're the man I love, and because I can't imagine my life without you. Even knowing it'll be really hard, even knowing. Brandon looked at her for a long moment. He could see the sincerity in her eyes. Okay, we'll try. Really? Really. But we'll take it slow. How slow? We'll date again. You'll live somewhere else for a while. For how long? Until we feel safe living together again. What about marriage? Marriage comes later. Much later. How much later? Maybe a year, maybe 2, maybe never. I accept. Brandon got up from the armchair and walked over to the couch where Jessica was sitting. Jessica, yes, I still love you so much. I love you too. But I need you to know this will be the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I know, and I'll do everything to make it work. Brandon leaned in and kissed Jessica softly. It was their first kiss since the day of the wedding that never happened. We'll make it, whispered Jessica. I hope so, Brandon replied. The end. And you, what did you think of this story of love, forgiveness, and second chances? Tell us in the comments if you believe Brandon made the right choice by giving Jessica another chance. Leave a like if the story moved you and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming tales.